Welcome back. Thanks very much if you watched the last video. We have returned from our 3 weeks on the Isle of Wight, which was lovely. Only problem is, 2 days before we went on holiday, the fabulous Pulley washing machine that's been working faithfully for 18 years stopped working. So I put it out of my mind, something to look forward to. Don't think that's quite the expression when I got home, which I have now done so. But there is some mention of Victoria the automaton. Also, since I got back, I was amazed when I first switched on, started to open the shop again, in effect, when we got home. The following day I'd had 3 orders for Nemnet thrubwells and chronographs and mechanical gauges. So exciting. But this is what happens now. If you put it on spin, there's a series of lights down here that indicates different things, of which I know very little. If you press start and it's on spin, especially if you switch it on, which is what I know, switch it to finish, then turn it to spin, then press the flashing button. There's too many controls. Here we are, look. How very exciting. It's just stopped again. When I read on the internet, very helpful sites, that when the rinse light flashes, it means that a sensor inside has detected that the motor isn't turning around, and sure enough, the motor isn't turning around. Well, the drum isn't, so I'm going to take it all to pieces again, try and work out why. It's a very nicely designed washing machine, I have to say. There's a screw at the front and the right. Don't take my word for it, the lid lifts off. Then you have the inside. There's the drum, there's the thing that sends the water jets over the top of the thing that, this thing actually that holds that. Sorry about the filth. One other thing I realised, it was dripping at one stage, it was leaking, so it was around this seal where this rubber pipe just pushes into the top. So I put copious amounts of Fernox LSX sealant in there. Fernox LSX is brilliant. It's meant for plumbing, brilliant for lubricating compression joints. Also brilliant, it says on the instructions on the tube, if you've got a leak in a radiator, put a bit of this stuff on a coin and stick it in place. If it's still wet and stuff, it doesn't matter because it'll help it set. It is brilliant. Love it. If you buy it from someone like B&Q, it'll set you back about 12 quid a tube, which I couldn't believe. So I just coincidentally noted. But if you go to a proper plumber's merchants, it's about £1.50 or something like that. Brilliant stuff. Anywho, next thing is to hinge the front open. 10mm. I wouldn't recommend, or do not use this as any sort of service guide. Do not follow any of these instructions at home, because I have no idea what I'm doing, or very little idea, and I don't want to risk anyone causing more damage than is absolutely necessary. I have switched the power off before I've done this, by the way. Having undone that, you can lift and separate. There we go. Oops. Not very much room in here. There we are. It's really nice, really well designed for servicing, because you've got access to all sorts of things. There's the pump at the bottom and the filter, and on the inside of the door it's really nice because you've got the main control panel here. The brains of the operation sits on another one underneath it, but this is the power panel that interfaces to the motor and the heater and all that sort of thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug everything and then put it all back together again, possibly with some contact cleaner. One of the very common problems that causes the motor to stop working is there's something that doesn't look anything like a fuse. Where is it? I'll get the door open. That little circular thing. No, that is a fuse. 6.3 amp, I think, if memory serves. Once it's blown, you have to get a new one, an RS, sell them. You can replace that, and the reason it blows is there's 2 relays at this end, one that switches power to the motor on and off, and the other one that decides the direction that the power enters the motor, the DC, to determine which way round it goes. Once that relay burns out and the contacts get sticky and it doesn't switch over immediately, it basically means as it switches on and off and changes, it short circuits the power supply, which blows that fuse, which is obviously why they've got it. Now I was really hoping this morning, having taken this to pieces, that it was going to be that, and I was most disheartened when my multimeter showed me the fuse was okay, so it's not that. But it's something that is cured by taking everything to pieces and putting it together. And other people have said, well, all these plug connections, they can get warm with the constant vibration and things. I've checked the back of the control panel and I can't see any loose solder joints or anything, and it's weird, it should work one minute and then not the next. So the other thing I need to check is, unfortunately this is all ground level. Inside there's the motor and there are the connections to the motor. It's so awkward to get to. It's like working on a starter motor on car engines, hidden and tucked away. I'll have a look and see what I can find out. Obviously this is quite critical as we have come back with 3 weeks worth of filthy washing, so I really do need to get this machine working. Service oil Super 10, it's not Super 5, 7, 8, it's Super 10, so it's got to be good. Contact and switch cleaner, so I put a bit of that in the contacts, wiggle them about a bit and see whether we do indeed have contact. No, still not working. Oh, how wrong I was. Bit like a starter motor on a car. Nah. Starter motor on a car, you can drive the car up ramps and use axle stands to go underneath, or even better still, have some sort of hydraulic system. A washing machine in an incredibly small room, you can't. That's where the motor was, and it is so difficult to get out. Nothing like something to spoil the great feeling of calmness and relaxation when you get home from a lovely holiday, to start burrowing around under a washing machine. Now I've taken the motor out because I managed to get 2 more cycles done, but sort of kick-starting the motor with the handle of a screwdriver, driving it round at the back at the beginning of each cycle, it then seemed to kick in and start and work with some sizzling and crackling. I probably shouldn't have tried it, but it did complete 2 full cycles. Then it refused, so hence the fact I've taken it out. I mean, I could hear the crackling and sizzling at the start coming from down here, and I don't think crackling and sizzling is part of the design criteria. So let's go and have a look at what was removed. Oh, and by the way, it is one of the hottest days of the year, and I have got other things I'd rather do, like getting on with Victoria. And here we are, back into the lovely cool sanctuary of the workshop. I'm sorry, Victoria, unfortunately you aren't able to do the washing, so to put you on the back burner for a while. Here, I believe, is the offending article. Beautifully engineered, it's lovely, really nicely made. And I know the bearing is okay because it spins beautifully, no noise at all. There's the, just interestingly, I've taken, I'll rest this somewhere, oh, in Bennett. When you think that it's been doing this for 18 years, it is pretty good, it's pretty amazing. Very well engineered, as I say. There we are. There's a little magnet on the back, and I took this back bit, the connection part, off, and in there's a sensor, probably a Hall effect one, I expect. Actually, it looks like it's some sort of wound electromagnetic, well, a coil basically. So as that spins with opposing north and south, it creates a little electric field that the computer, I'm getting carried away, not the Arduino, it's not nice like that, the controller board in the washing machine can read, check it's going round. Because I was pushing it round with a screwdriver, the controller thought, oh, it's working, so it kept sending pulses. It's a bit stupid because it could have burnt something out, but I was kept pushing it and then it would start, but then finally it didn't. Now, on inspection of this part, here are the brushes that connect the electromery to the coils inside. See, the motor is lovely, you can see it really clearly. Or not, that's better. Ooh, coppery things. There's a commutator. This is a series of lots and lots of copper plates that rotate and are connected to lots and lots of windings around this central part of the motor that spins. There are also windings around the outside that connect up separately and I've checked their continuity with the multimeter, and I'm very pleased to say that they still have, they're not burnt out or anything. You still get electricity about half at 1 ohm or something or other between that one and one on this side, and that one and one on that side. So I assume they're okay, and there's no signs of burning or anything. You unscrew 3 or 4 screws and then this unplugs. There are plugs here and here that connect to the outer windings, and then these 2 brushes that connect to the inner, which I replaced. Like I said before, when it went wrong and it burnt out the funny little fuse, I didn't know what I was doing then, and I don't know what I'm doing this time, but prior to this I got 2 new brushes because I found out anyway that they hadn't worn down very much. But this time, ooh, this one's nice, but this one, that's not very nice. These are meant to protrude really nice and firmly against a spring, so they rub against the commutator, or the contacts, copper contacts. So that would account for the sparkling and the crackling, and perhaps once it had started going on a cycle, enough contact was made. But that's disgusting. I'm sure I got proper mealy parts, but I mean, this is ridiculous. There's nothing left of this one. I will investigate further. So I think it's very nice when this sort of thing happens, although as I say, I can't think of other things I'd rather be doing. It's very nice when you finally find something that seems to be causing a problem, especially an intermittent problem, because they're always the worst. And I can actually see, if I zoom in, I can actually see the spring, the end of the pushing spring right here. So this brush, carbon brush, is worn right down. I think I may have to order a new one. At least that gives me a couple of days. Perhaps I'll order it from somewhere the other side of the world, so that I have a few more days of peace and relaxation. I don't know. I'll have a look and see. Here's another nice thing to do while I'm waiting for the spare parts of the washing machine. Sold another chronograph, and I offer them with a stand. The reason being that, here's one I prepared earlier. The reason being that you can have it wall mounting if you want, and it's got holes on the back, or you can have it as a mantle clock with a stand. It's one of those things. It's interesting. There we are. That's what it looks like on its stand. Interesting thing is, I'd made some of these stands up just to display the clocks at one of the steampunk fairs, and then one of the people coming along said, "Oh, can I have it with a base, please?" It's funny, isn't it? You can't think of everything, I suppose, but it's so well worth talking to people and getting people's points of view and ideas. Now, this is the problem I've got. I need to send this off. And when I've done this before with people who wanted the mantle clocks, there's the box that it comes in. It just doesn't fit. It won't fit inside with the clock. It won't stick through. It's really awkward. Especially now I've put the camera down, so I can't actually get everything in shot. Now, ways I've done it before were to stick it on the side and make some elaborate cardboard creation, or even have it sticking down the end and somehow try and fix it all. It's a pain. So what I came up with, and I haven't ventured out and bought new dowling unfortunately because of the coronavirus, but the idea is to make one that you can put together yourself. That means that the bits will fit inside the box, plenty of room. So I've got to sand this one off. Luckily I found 2 pieces of dowling I have got, and I've cut out some rings, and I'm going to make it assemblable by drilling 2 holes, and then when the person gets it they can screw 2 screws through, line it up, and that'll make the support. Really nice little job to do. So I'm going to glue these down with super glue, and then I'm going to stain this, and I'll stain these and sort out stuff. In fact, because this dowling wasn't absolutely round, I tried drilling the first hole on the lathe to try and get it in the middle, but it's not absolutely round. So I'm going to screw these down and then drop these bits over to line them up somehow. Brilliant. I reckon a 35mm screw will do it. To see with my belt and braces attitude, I would personally go for about 200mm screw, but this will do. There you go. Oh, that's lovely. Okay, I'll do the same with this one. I've pre-drilled the holes in here, pilot holes, to about, not exactly 4mm, so that the screws will fit through. Right, now what I'll do is to put some glue on these. Now the original I lined the grain up all the way across, which looked nice. So the super duper glue I don't want to get anywhere except in the middle, because any that squeezes out will stop the wood stain from taking. Slide that down there and position it and contact. There we are. That's lined up. Okay, I'll get that stained. It's a day later and a parcel has arrived from eSpares, who I decided to use. As always, no affiliation, it's quite useful to know such things. I bought the proper £60 brushes, which I will install, and I hope that the cheaper versions were just rubbish. They also very kindly sent me a biro with eSpares on it. Excellent, just what I've always wanted. And the drive belt. As I said, the last one was starting to split, so it's worth repairing or replacing. I'm not going to inflict the next few hours on you, because that will just be swearing, soaking with sweat, and being particularly unpleasant. I'll hopefully come back to you once the washing machine is washing. Got the motor on, fantastic, with the new brushes, and came to put the drive belt on. Would you Adam and Eve it, despite it saying it's a 1321 J5, a J5 apparently is the width, 1321 is the length in millimetres, although it isn't. This one is 121, even though, so someone's put it in the wrong bag then. What a pain. Especially, let this be a lesson for you, dear friends, when you're fixing a washing machine and you want to get the old drive belt off, even though it can be a bit fiddly, don't cut it. The only reason I'm getting a new one is because this has started splitting, but it would have still had probably years of life in it. And I thought, oh, why reach round the back, pardon my expression, when I can just cut it? Which I then did. Ruined. If I hadn't cut it, I could now be using this. Thankfully though, because it takes 48 hours for these kind of people at eSpares to get back to you with any sort of query, I found a proper shop in not that far away, repair shop, that has got one. A very nice man who spent a long time looking through his stock to find a 1-2 or 1-3, whatever it is, length, and he found one. So that's fantastic. 1321, which is a length with the groove shape, which is J or something or other. Fabulous. First thing I'm going to do is undo that and put it over this rear pulley on the back of the drum. It's a very large pulley, and that the drive belt links that to the pulley on the back of the motor, which is way down there somewhere. Now, what I've found from past experience is once I've hooked it over here with the washing machine vertical, I'm going to use some masking tape, my favourite masking tape, to stick the top round, probably in 3 positions, because when I tilt this back so I can get to the motor underneath, it'll fall off. It just keeps giving, the fun never ends. So using a bit of masking tape will hold it on and should keep it in place while I try and loop it underneath the motor pulley. Brilliant. There it is, taped on in 3 positions. Also very important because this has been tied up so small for several years, I imagine. So it's really all over the place. Now I need to tilt the whole thing backwards and try and get to the motor. The other nice thing about working on washing machines are all these really sharp edges, so when you reach down you either lose part of your flesh or part of a nice piece of clothing. One of my favourite shirts. Oh, it's very dark down here and extremely difficult to get to. There's the motor, it pivots on one side and then you adjust the tension here. I don't know whether you can see any of this. I managed to reach up the back and hook the drive bit around the spindle on the motor. Oh, I thought I'd get, oh that's it. Oh, I've broken one of the paper things, but that's right. Now I can pull this down and then tighten up, taking up the slack. Nearly, also very kindly, give you some reading material, so when you wake up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night, wondering what on earth you're doing trying to fix a washing machine, you can look at pictures and a circuit diagram as well. It's brilliant. I don't know of any other people who do that, any other washing machine manufacturers, even a parts list as well. How lovely. To the moment of truth. I've left the top off because I want to hopefully enjoy watching the pulleys and things going round. So, switch power on. No fizzing or banging. I'm not going to put any washing in just in case. Don't want to get my hopes up. I will set it to spin and see what it does on. Oh, I'm shaking in anticipation. Ooh. It was turning. Was it stopped? Ooh, how exciting! I haven't sat and watched a washing machine for many years, especially an empty one. Brilliant. Let's have a look at the inside. Oh look, turning pulleys with drive belts. Excellent. Speeding. Oh, 1300 RPM. Brilliant. The difference a little bit of carbon makes. Speaking as a carbon-based life form myself, brilliant. Right, I will stop, or try and stop. It's going even faster. I will try and stop talking about washing machines now and get some washing on, and perhaps think about some automatons. Excellent. Finally the washing machine is working, so I'm able to get on with this. Thought I'd just do a quick recap. It might be worth mentioning something to do with steampunk and stuff in this video, as it seems to be completely hijacked by my unnatural love of washing machines. The last video, if you remember, I just got to this stage and I was going to put a drawer on the CAD software on the computer, so I'll show you what I came up with. Obsessive? No, never. So the nice thing about CAD is that, as I say, once you've drawn one you can just keep doing it. I'll try and indicate the salient ideas. There's another one where I thought I could put the timer on top, which looks interesting as well. At this stage I was still thinking about having the 4 stops for A, B, C, D and 4 possible answers across the front, and there's one I tried with a title, a sign across there. I also, around this time, started thinking about having the glass continuing further down so that you could actually see what mechanisms were inside. I don't like wasting mechanisms. So then I came up with the idea of having a circular part, let's see if I can zoom in a bit, a circular window in the centre with the 4 stops around it, and then that would mean that you could possibly add other features such as little flickering fire lamps and labels on what to do. And this window in the centre was quite interesting because, to go back to Biro World, remember in the last video I was talking about using motorised systems of stops. I thought, well, I'm going to have a mechanism in it. Well, I'm going to have some way of moving stops in and out. So rather than using motors and boring electricity and stuff, why not do it mechanically? Hence the fact I started thinking about better systems for the mechanism to hold the stops in and then to release all the other ones except for one if you pull a second one out. Sliding things, and I think that is more like the original system on the old-fashioned single click push buttons that used to be so common on hi-fis and hi-fis and early calculators and things. Then I thought, well, what about simplifying it, having wood and then having a damping system so that when you let a stop go or you pull another one out and the other 3 pop back in, they don't thud in. They could have a tightly fitting wooden enclosure, so you get a build up of pressure, and if you have one of those bike valves in the top, when you pulled them out it would let air in, and you let it go, the springs either side would pull it back in. A nice thing about this mechanism is it's all pretty centred. thanks very much for watching. I hope you have found it interesting, and I look forward to seeing you soon.